So continuing with the operators, look at logical operators. Logical operators are there in Java to give. So in that case, the logical operator will be used. So there are three types of operators. One is an AND operator, OR operator, and a NOT operator. The operands of the logical operator must be of Boolean types. That means the values that are being compared should be of finally be a Boolean type or a value. The logical operators form an expression which results in a Boolean value. Like say, let's look at the values in the table here. So we have A and B right over here. We have A and B. Now if A is true and B is true, this is how it behaves in AND. If both are true, then it is true. If A or even A or B, if A or B, any of them is true, then it will be true. And if it is not A, then it is telling that it is not true, so it is false. The next condition, we have A as true and B as false. So we come to a comparison A and B. So one of them is not true, right? So it becomes false. A or B, any one of them is true, so it becomes true. Not A is again false. Now again the same condition here, A is equal to false, B is equal to true. Now A and B is a comparison where you are checking whether both are true, so it is not true, so it becomes false. Then A or B, if you see here, again one of them is true, B is true, right? So it comes to true, evaluates to true. And not A is, now this time it's not, A is not true, so it is true. So A is not true, which is false value, so that is the result of this will be true. And then the last one, both sides are F, so it will be okay for A and B, A or B. But for not A, as A is not true, it will be a failure and result will be true. Okay. So this is basically used in if comparisons, and in comparisons, it's like a diode gate that you have in engineering or any it's like a gate, a logical gate to do comparisons. So let us look at the simple conditional checks. So first condition will be evaluated, and if condition is true, then the true block will be assigned to the variable. Now let's look here. This is ternary operator. In this ternary operator is another way of comparison. So if you say int a equal to 5, b equal to 10, so in the line number x, so basically the syntax is saying ki what is the value? Okay, the return value will be assigned. So if a is greater than b, that is false, right? So b. So you give here what will be if it is true, what if it is false. So if a is greater than b, no, so it will come to b, so max will become 10. Whereas in the next line, if you see here, a is greater than b, yes, so max will be 10. Okay. So this true block gets executed. This is the false block of it. So syntax is where condition, true block, false block. Moving on. So all this actually is used in control statements, guys. All of this is going to be used in control statements, especially these logical operators. So all statements are executed sequentially. If you want to change the execution of statements based on certain condition, so control statements again. So coming to control statements, all statements are executed sequentially. Okay. In some situations, we may want to change the execution of statements based on certain condition, or we want to repeat a group of statements. So for this, like, you want to have you want to keep on printing certain things for like 10 times or 20 times and all those things. Okay. So if that is the criteria, this is how we start using it. So the following are the control statements. First is the if and the else. Then if the if-else conditions increase, then you have switch case, then you have for loops. This is a loop iteration, then while iteration, then do while iteration. Okay. And then all of this returns a value. Now let's look at the if. Now condition here is if a condition is true, let it work, otherwise no. If a is equal to, now example a is 10, value of a is 10, displayed regardless of conditional pass. So what happens if this goes into this logical gate? Now if you see here, this is an equal to means comparison. If a equal to 10, then yes, this will execute, otherwise it will come outside the braces. Now we have a if else condition. If the condition is true, then the statement inside the if is always executed. But if it is false, then the statement in the else will be executed. So how does this work? So if I have x, like say a is greater than 10, this will execute. Else we have another statement which says a is less than 10. Okay. The last line is outside the if loop, so that will be displayed irrespective of any condition. So this example shows you all kinds of if else. So you have a public class for month. Month is equal to, now this is the or, okay, and month is 12 or 1 or 2. If any of this is true, it will say season is equal to winter. In this case, it will not print because month is 4, correct? Else if month is equal to 3, 4, 5, season is equal to spring. So similarly 6, 7, 8 and else if. So here what you do here is, now we also, in addition to the else, you are also giving a if condition here, else if. Okay, so let us see this working. I'm going to take this value here. Excuse me. So we'll go into our third method because that is where we are now creating other methods, right? So we will write one more method here. Say comparator, and we'll write this code. So here what happens is, let's see the code. Yeah, there should be no bracket. There should be no gap in the equal to. So that's why we are getting an error. So if you see here on the left side, it shows you an error. But if you fix that error, it will go away. Okay. And semicolon is a must. Okay. Now let us see why it's giving an error. Int month equal to 5. You're saying season variable was missing here. So here it says season, right? So let's do this. So variable name should be correct. And here also gap is there. So this is the OR, okay? There's two filters. I call it, it is called filter. You can see that filter above your shift, usually in the enter key, okay? So now here, and then empty, if you want to say empty, you got to put it over here. You also have to check for open and closing braces, okay? Always make sure that you have each of this is, otherwise you'll get an error. What I'm saying is, if this condition is there, you also make sure. And also we'll introduce a normal else condition. It says right, so but we want to print this, so we're not printing it anywhere. So we're going to say system dot. This is like this, we are calling from the system class. More about these packages and all we'll see, okay, later. T is missing here. Alright, so now let's save this and run this properly. So, and we have to call this method comparator. So now if you see here, we have already seen the other operations. We want to call the comparator. So we got to save this and we got to run this. I hope you're now understanding. Now this is a public static void main, which is the main entry point of the class. But here we are calling various methods which we have defined. We have defined various static methods. So we're going to run this now. Now if you run, it shows spring. Why is it showing spring? Let's understand the code here. So if you see here, first int month has been assigned equal to 4. So it will go into this. If month equal to 12, none of this, it's an OR loop, but none of them are true, right? So it's going to come here, it's going to check this. Here it finds 3, or it finds a 4. Okay, so it's the same way if you change it to 6, and then it executes this, and then it does not execute the other ones. This will always execute because this is outside your else, right? It's outside your construct. So now we have to continue with this. So now if I change this to say 12, it is winter. It's changed. Similarly, if I change it to something which doesn't exist, say 30. See, it says else. It's come out. Basically, it didn't go to any other else. Sorry. Alright. So basically this is how the if else works. Now one more thing is, as the we'll also see the AND condition here. I'm just introducing a day equal to field. Now the AND condition will work like this, okay? It will have two conditions, of course. And now I'll give AND like this. And I'm just going to say print this first. This is just to show you how this AND works. This AND is an ampersand, okay? Entered and as an AND condition satisfied. That is because both the values should be correct. Okay, both sides should. So if you say AND condition is satisfied now, but if I change this to 11, that's it. See, this won't print at all. So now let me go back here, make this 4. So it's gone to spring, exited this line. It went out of this if, went into the other if condition. Got it? So here basically your AND condition is not getting satisfied, so it doesn't print that. Now typically you can have if-else conditions like this, but if it gets too much, then it may get complicated. So for that, Java gives you another syntax called as switch. Java gives you another syntax called as switch. Okay, so basically it's an alternate to if-else. So it will basically evaluate the expression value any of these data types. Let us take a look here. Yeah, so now let's take a look at a switch example. Now if you see this, it looks for the day. If case is 0, so this is how there is no if here. It takes switch and you pass the variable you want to check. Then you write case, the value you want to check. Okay, colon, and within that statements will be what you want to execute if that condition is true. So like this, you have 6 cases and there is a default. The structure, if you see, if there are many conditions like this is more efficient. Otherwise, the if-else will get a little bit out of hand. And you also have something called as break, because if you don't give break, suppose you go to case 2, get 2, and if you don't give, it will print Tuesday and keep on printing the other. So you have to give a break. Okay, two things. One is you have to give a break so that it comes out of this switch. It is optional. Transfer the control out of the switch block. So, and if no break is given, then execution will continue in the next case. Default is optional, will execute only if the value of the expression doesn't match any of it. So iteration is something if you want to do multiple repeated times, so that for that you use iterations. Okay. So like say for example, look at this example. For int equal to 5, a less than equal to 10, a plus plus. So now this, this increments a, this is I'll be executed 6 times. So this line will be executed 6 times. If you want to logically do something in a loop, okay, you want to count some things or something. So in that case, you have to use the iteration. So here this is the initialization of the variable, condition, and then what is the increment or decrement. So here it will do 6 times. Okay, this is a for loop. Now similarly you have a while loop. It will execute a set of code repeatedly until the condition falls true. Like there will be a condition in the while loop, and this will keep on doing the it will keep on printing the statement of doing something as long as this condition matches. Okay, once this condition breaks, then it comes out. We also have a do while loop, which is similar to while loop, except that the condition has to be evaluated, is given at the end. So that loop will be executed even at least once. Okay, so do while will be executed once. So if you see here, it will be a do and then we have a while. There will be a do and then a while. Okay, here we have a while, otherwise it will be a do and then a while. So if you want one line to always work and the rest of the iterative statements to work depending on the condition, then you can use a do while. Let's look at some this output of this code. Okay, so let us do one thing. Let's do the switch also along with this. So I'm going to take the comparator out of this and copy this to a switch. I'll say switcher, and this I'll change to. So I'll pass the month variable here. I know the dates, months are not matching, but I'm just giving an example over here. So we have 3 conditions, 4, 7, 12. So now this can. So now if you execute this, if you see that it shows winter, that is because it has gone over here and it has taken the month as 4 and it has printed this and it has come out of this. Now if I don't give this break, see what happens. Okay, if I don't give break, see it finally jumps down the flows down the case and prints the last one. It will keep on printing this seasons equal to, it takes the last value and then prints it. So that's why you need to give a break. Okay, so that was about the switch case, break,